Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving deep into one of the most critical assets in your entire career, your personal brand. We're going to give you some clear, actionable insights to make sure you're not just seen, but truly remembered. You're not alone. So many incredibly talented people struggle to stand out in what feels like an impossibly crowded landscape. But what if I told you there's a strategic way to change all that? To go from being overlooked to being the one people are actively seeking out? That's exactly what we're going to break down today. So let's get right to it. Why is this so critical? Because personal branding, it's not just some buzzword for influencers, It's a fundamental career tool for every single one of us. I want you to think of it this way. Your personal brand is basically what people say about you when you're not in the room. It's the story that walks in the door before you do, and it is the difference between simply having a job and actually building a career with real purpose and impact. Okay, so a powerful brand, it's not something you build on guesswork or just, slapping together a cool logo. It has a rock-solid foundation, and it stands on 4 absolutely essential pillars. Now here's where it all clicks. These pillars are all connected. Authenticity is your core, it's the real you. Consistency builds trust because you're showing up as that real you everywhere. Clarity makes sure your message actually lands, and all of that, working together, builds the ultimate prize, credibility. So how do we actually build this thing? Well, we follow a simple but really powerful 3-step blueprint. It's a journey that moves from the inside out. First, you discover your foundation, then you strategize your game plan, and only then do you start to communicate your story to the world. So we start at the very beginning with the most important step, discovery. And this is all about looking inward before you even think about projecting yourself outward. You wouldn't build a house without knowing what materials you have, right? Well, it's the exact same thing with your brand. You have to get to know its core components, what we call your brand DNA. This isn't about inventing some new persona. It's about uncovering the awesome one that's already there. And this is where you gotta get really specific. Ask yourself, what are my non-negotiable values? What skills and passions truly light me up? And how do they all come together to serve a purpose that only I can fill? Answering these questions, that's the work that makes your brand unshakable. Okay, so once you have that solid foundation of who you are, the next step is to architect the strategy. This is where you get intentional and decide exactly how you're going to present your brand DNA to the world. And wow, this slide just nails one of the biggest decisions you'll make, defining your brand voice. Just look at the difference. On one side, you have communication that actually connects with people. On the other, you've got that corporate jargon that sounds like everyone else and, let's be honest, connects with no one. Your voice should sound like you. Now, besides your voice, your strategy has to answer 2 other huge questions. First, who are you talking to? You can't be for everyone, so get specific. And second, what is your unique value proposition, or UVP? This is just the simple, powerful way of saying, here's the unique benefit that only I can offer you. Get that right, and you will absolutely stand out. So you've discovered your DNA, you've set your strategy, and now we get to the really fun part. It is time to craft the story that you're going to tell the world. Oh, I love this quote because it captures such a huge mindset shift. A resume just lists facts, right? A bio weaves those facts into a story that people actually want to hear. It's about mastering professional storytelling, not just listing what you've done. So how do you do this consistently? You develop what are called content pillars, just 2 or 3 key themes that you are going to own and talk about over and over again. This reinforces your expertise and makes sure your storytelling is focused, creating a compelling narrative that really brings your brand to life. Okay, so you've discovered your DNA, you've built a strategy, you've crafted your narrative, but let's be real. The hardest part is often just doing it, day in and day out. So how can you amplify your efforts and make sure you're consistently putting your brand out there? Yep, this final step is all about activation. It's about turning that brilliant strategy of yours into consistent real-world action. And this is where an AI-powered assistant can become your co-pilot, bridging that huge gap between having a plan and actually getting it done. A really powerful way to do this now is to use a specialized AI tool, something like a Personal Brand GPT. I want you to think of it as your own personal brand manager, an assistant that's been trained on the exact frameworks we've just walked through: the DNA, the strategy, and the communication. And this is where the magic happens. It takes your defined brand DNA and your strategy and helps you execute. It can draft social media posts in your unique voice, craft different versions of your bio for different platforms, and make sure your message stays consistent everywhere. It saves you so much time and keeps you perfectly on brand. And that brings us to the final and most crucial thought. Whether you manage it or not, you have a personal brand. It's what people think of when they hear your name. So the only question is, are you going to let it be defined by chance, or are you going to be the author of your own story? You have the power. And now, you have the blueprint.